We are sharing images of the 3 terrorists who butchered 28 innocents in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir. These, according to sources, are Pakistani terrorists. Of course, there were also local handlers. There's some information that's there in public domain, some that details are still awaited. This matter is currently under investigation from what sources are telling India Today's team of reporters on Ground Zero. One of the terrorists who was involved in the killing is Asif Fauji. He's a former Pakistan Army regular, a part of the SSG commandos of the Pakistan Army, now retired, part of that hybrid terror group. The second is Suleiman Shah. Suleiman Shah is a Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist, again a Pakistani working in India as a recruiter and part of the new name that's been given to Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorists in India so that they can avoid global scrutiny, called the Resistance Front, an attempt to give a secular, non-Islamist name to Lashkar-e-Taiba. The third is Abu Talha. That again is the face of terror on your television screen in those pictures accessed by India Today. Information that we have is these 3 Pakistani terrorists had local support. They had been in India for some time and had been hiding in the forest. They've been crisscrossing this area. They were involved, or at least they're suspected to have been involved in an earlier attack on the security forces. They managed to dodge the security forces. Then they escaped to South Kashmir, and then they came back to that area of South Kashmir to carry out another terror attack, and this time in Pahalgam. They'd been sent to India to prepare a force that would target the Amarnath Yatra beginning the 3rd of July. Now, these terrorists used assault rifles to shoot tourists at point blank range. In about an hour from now, just about an hour from now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will chair a crucial meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Security. So Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who's just returned from Kashmir, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, and Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who incidentally again has cut short her visit to the United States of America and Peru. She too is on her way back to India. All of them will be a part of the CCS, and this is a very crucial meeting, because this is where there will be deliberations on how should India respond to Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror that's been bleeding India for decades. And clearly, one Balakot is not enough. Balakot in 2019 had sent across a message that kept India safe for some time. But then, as many counter-terror analysts say, that terror and the state sponsors of terror need to be punished again and again and again till the time terror is no longer a low or a no-cost option for a Pakistan, a country which is a state sponsor of radical Islamist terror. Not just in India, but virtually across the globe. We get you details. I'm Gaurav Sawant. As always, let's get started with the headlines at 5. 28 Indians killed in J&K terror attack. The Pakistani terrorists hunted out Hindus, singled them out and shot them, many at point blank range. Images of terrorists who attacked Pahalgam tourists on India Today. One of them is a retired Pakistan Army soldier. 3 officials of the forces on a vacation in Pahalgam also killed a young Indian Navy officer, an intelligence bureau officer and a corporal of the Indian Air Force amongst the 28 killed in Pahalgam. 6 are from Maharashtra, 3 are from Karnataka. Union Home Minister Amit Shah takes stock of the situation on Ground Zero in Kashmir in Pahalgam, meets family of victims, visits the site of the terror attack. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share a crucial meeting of the CCS. He chaired a meeting at the Delhi airport with Dr. Jaishankar and NSA Ajit Doval, where they were briefed by Intelligence Bureau officials. The 3 service chiefs brief Defence Minister Rajnath Singh after the Pahalgam terror attack. Raksha Mantri pledges there will be a befitting response, says India, the oldest civilization, will hunt down not just those who carried out the terror attack, but also those who aided and abetted terror. World leaders condemn the attack on tourists in Jammu and Kashmir. US President Donald Trump says US stands with India in India's war on terror. Giorgia Meloni, President Putin of Russia condoled the deaths of innocents in Jammu and Kashmir, as does Keir Starmer and Benjamin Netanyahu.
Condolences to the people of Kashmir who were affected by this terrible terrorist attack. The president's already spoken with Prime Minister Modi. I believe I'll be speaking with him later this afternoon. And obviously we're providing whatever assistance and help.
India today has spoken to several eyewitnesses, and there are several eyewitness and survivor accounts that are now in public domain, and each story is more horrifying than the other. These were families in hundreds who were there in Pahalgam, and this part of the Pahalgam, these meadows, they are very, very beautiful. By many accounts, more beautiful than Switzerland. But unfortunately, it's that curse of that Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. Now, families were describing that bright sunny day in the valley. Tourists were enjoying lovely weather, great food. They'd walked for about 45 minutes in some instances, an hour and a half in others. They got there. They were enjoying lush greenery in that area. They were seeing those wonderful tall deodar trees. And suddenly, amidst that happiness, amongst them were three terrorists who came from behind those trees. In one instance, they opened indiscriminate fire. The terrified people ran in one direction, and that is where they were cornered. They were made to sit down. They were segregated. Men were segregated from women. And then the terrorists started asking their names, checking their identity cards. And they figured out, they asked, are you Muslim? Are you not Muslim? They saw identity cards, and in some instances killed people at point blank range. Some of those images are so horrifying, we can't even show you those images. Sadly, 28 lives were lost in this Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror, and amongst them were three men from the security forces. For example, Lieutenant Vinay Narwal, he was on vacation, he just got married, he was on his honeymoon. Or that intelligence bureau officer, Manish Ranjan, who was there with his entire family, with his children, with relatives. And that Indian Air Force corporal from Arunachal Pradesh, Tage Heliang. Now, he'd finished his tour of duty in Jammu and Kashmir and was on his way back to Arunachal Pradesh. He called his wife, come, let me show you paradise on earth. And it turned out to be a day in hell for these women when they saw their men being killed at point blank range. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he cut short his trip to Saudi Arabia, and at 6 p.m, in less than an hour from now, he'll be chairing that very crucial Cabinet Committee on Security. And the entire country is waiting for India's response. Doesn't have to be immediate, but it has to be effective, demonstrative, punitive, and deterrent, so that that Pakistan state-sponsored, that military jihad complex doesn't dare to target India again. We get you more in this report.
Pahalgam, a tourist haven, turned into a graveyard after Pakistan-backed terrorists opened fire on unsuspecting tourists. The attack, meticulously planned, targeted Baisaran Valley, a non-motorable stretch, chosen with deadly precision. A place where tourists had no place to hide and where rescue efforts would be delayed. The massacre claimed 28 lives, leaving families shattered across India from Uttar Pradesh to Tamil Nadu. Among the victims were 3 serving security personnel. Lieutenant Vinay Narwal, just 26 years old and newly married, was killed in the Pahalgam terror attack while on a short break. His remains were brought to Delhi, where his inconsolable wife gave a tearful final salute to her fallen hero.
16 तारीख को शादी हुई थी उसकी मंसूरी के अंदर, डेस्टिनेशन शादी थी, और 19 तारीख को रिसेप्शन थी यहीं करनाल में, और 21 तारीख को फिर वो हनीमून के लिए निकल गए थे। 22 तारीख को ये हादसा हुआ जिसमें उनकी मौत हो गई है।
IB officer Manish Ranjan was shot dead in front of his wife and 2 children. The eldest of 3 brothers, his family now demands justice for a life taken too soon.
বন্ধু তুল্য মানে আমার ভাই তুল্য বন্ধু। আমরা একসাথে আমরা ক্রিকেট খেলেছি, এক খেলার মাঠে আমরা একসাথে ছিলাম, আমাদের পুরো সার্কেলটা ছিল একটা। এটা হারিয়ে আমরা খুব বড় একটা ক্ষতি পেয়েছি। আর এই যে ঘটনাটা ঘটেছে সেটা আমরা মানে বড় নিন্দা করছি। এটা এত মানে দুর্ভাগ্যজনক ঘটনা, এত মানে লজ্জাজনক ঘটনা। এটা আমরা চাইবো যে ওখান থেকে আতঙ্কবাদী সাফায়া হোক। এভাবে চলবে না, দেশ এইভাবে চলবে না।
IAF Corporal Tej Halyang was reportedly stripped at gunpoint, and upon discovering his IAF ID, the terrorists executed him in front of his wife.
जम्मू से पोस्टिंग होकर यहाँ में ये डिब्रूगढ़ में आपका फिर से रिपोस्टिंग के लिए वो जो आने वाला था, वो आने से पहले ये जो अपना मिसेस को लेकर वहाँ में साइट सीइंग के लिए कुछ 1-2 दिन वहाँ में टाइम बिताने के लिए उन दोनों जो प्लानिंग किया है, तो उसी समय में ये हादसा हो गया है।
What's most chilling is the precision of this attack. The terrorist asked for IDs, checked identities before pulling the trigger. They knew where, when and who, which points, to detailed planning, and raises troubling questions about local support.
के हाथ में गन्स थी, उन्होंने आके सीधा धमका के जैसे 26/11 टेरर अटैक हुआ था ना सर, वैसे ही इधर आके धमका के वो गोली मार के निकल गए और भाग गए गोली मार के। पहले फायरिंग स्टार्ट हुई तो लोग जब भागना शुरू किया था, हमें पता चला कि लोग आ रहे हैं ऊपर से गोली लेके, गन लेके हाथ में।
क्या किसी लोकल लोगों को भी उन्होंने गोली मारी? क्या किसी लोकल लोगों को भी उन्होंने
लोकल लोगों को नहीं, जो मुस्लिम नहीं है, जो हिंदू है, उनको ही गोली मारी है।
As the nation mourns, the call for justice grows louder. Bureau Report, India Today.
Not one, not two. There are multiple eyewitnesses, there are multiple survivors, whether they are from Uttar Pradesh or Maharashtra, whether they are from Haryana or Arunachal Pradesh or from Karnataka. Their stories are identical, their accounts are identical. The men and women, they were segregated. The women were made to see. Their men were asked their names, told to show their identity cards, asked their religion. In case the answer was not Muslim, if they were Hindu, they were shot dead at point blank range. The women and children saw this in horror. Can you imagine? We just are reporting that story. You are hearing that story. They lived through it, and those images will stay with them for life. I have breaking news that's coming in. That's a strong reaction that's coming in from Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. So Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, this is his first public response after the Pahalgam terror attack. He said, I'd like to reiterate India's firm resolve of a zero tolerance policy towards terror. Every citizen of India stands united against this cowardly act, this terror attack. And in the light of this incident, the government of India will take every necessary and appropriate step, is what he said. But he didn't just stop there. He then went on to say India will not just stop at those who carried out this terror attack, indicating that at least they will be brought to justice. But that's not all he said. He said India will also reach out to those who from behind the scenes were aiding and abetting this and were conspiring to carry out such a terror attack on Indian soil. We'll listen into what Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh said. There's more information that's coming in, and this is a very critical bit of information that's coming in. We are told that there is now a security realignment plan in the valley that is taking place. Authorities are working on a plan. And this is significant. This is significant because I'll tell you why there are those within our country who weakened our country's security grid. And I'll tell you how. But what is the government saying right now? That there's a new plan in place to fill that security vacuum with permanent deployment of army and central armed police forces and paramilitary forces in the mountains overlooking this tourist destination in the Kashmir Valley. Officials have told India Today in strict confidence that this realignment of security forces was required and was actually carried out ahead of that annual Amarnath pilgrimage, which begins on the 3rd of July. Security agencies are now planning to readjust the deployment of troops so that they are based closer to this valley, to this Bisaran Valley, and also secure the forest. Now remember, there are times when you secure the entry gate, but then there are times you're hit from behind, and it's happened with us. It's happened with us in Sanjuan, it's happened with us in Uri, it's happened with us in many different locations where one flank where you expect the terrorist or an intruder to come from, that's very well protected. But then there is a flank where you think the enemy will not come from. That's the place where the enemy strikes you. And I've reported from these instances from ground zero. So right now, every movement will be kept under check. There is massive redeployment that is being planned, and a plan of action is being put in place. It will, of course, require approval. But this was discussed in the meeting which was chaired by the Union Home Minister, Amit Shah. He's now back in Delhi. He will brief Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The final contours of this realignment, this realigned security grid in the Kashmir Valley will be finalized over the next couple of days. It's not just securing Pahalgam. It's actually trying to outthink these terrorists. The Amarnath Yatra sees massive civilian movement from across the country. And these Pakistani terrorists, incidentally, from what sources are telling India Today, they were tasked to target the Amarnath Yatra. But suddenly, the Pakistani terrorists got very desperate, or at least their handlers got very desperate, and they wanted to carry out a high visibility attack. We'll also discuss that during the course of this broadcast. I'll get you more on the story, but now the attempt is to have a more foolproof plan in place. Before I get you more, listen in to Defense Minister Rajnath Singh.
और हम सिर्फ उन लोगों तक नहीं पहुंचेंगे जिन्होंने इस घटना को अंजाम दिया है, हम उन तक भी पहुंचेंगे जिन्होंने पर्दे के पीछे बैठकर हिंदुस्तान की सरजमी पर ऐसी नापाक हरकतों की साजिशें रची हैं। भारत एक इतनी पुरानी सभ्यता और इतना बड़ा देश है जिसको ऐसे किसी भी आतंकी गतिविधियों से किसी भी सूरत में डराया नहीं जा सकता। ऐसी हरकतों का जिम्मेदार और इसके जिम्मेदार लोगों को आने वाले कुछ ही समय में जोरदार तरीके से नजर आएगा। मैं देशवासियों को आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं। यहां मैं भारत के दृढ़ संकल्प को दोहराना चाहूंगा कि टेररिज्म के खिलाफ हमारी जीरो टॉलरेंस की पॉलिसी है। भारत का एक एक नागरिक इस कायरतापूर्ण हरकत के खिलाफ एकजुट है। मैं इस मंच से देशवासियों को आश्वस्त करता हूं, घटना के मद्देनजर भारत सरकार वो हर कदम उठाएगी जो जरूरी और उपयुक्त होगा।
Joining me on this special broadcast is Lieutenant General Arun Sahni, former Army Commander, someone who will tell us more about India's counter-terror operations and what India needs to do, the bigger picture, the higher direction of war. Also with me on this special broadcast are India Today's Mir Farid, joining us from Ground Zero in Pahalgam, and Piyush Mishra, joining us from 7 Lok Kalyan Marg, where the CCS will take place in a short while from now. Mir, you're on Ground Zero. Tell us more about this security realignment and these Pakistani terrorists and the local support apparently that they seem to enjoy. Tell us more about their plans to target the Amarnath Yatra.
Yes, Gaurav. In fact, if they have hit tourist and in fact a civilian target, then obviously yatris are also not safe. And as you rightly said, intelligences warn that they are here with the intent of hitting or targeting the Amarnath Yatra. And we know that Pahalgam is a major base of the Amarnath Yatra. Nunvan base camp is just 2 kilometers away from where I am, and this is one of the biggest base camps of the Yatra. And Amarnath Yatra, we know, is a massive security challenge. You have two big routes which are long, be it Baltal, Sonmarg side or Pahalgam, right up to Chandanwadi, and it requires a massive synergy between various belt forces, intelligences, and this time around, considering this attack, the challenge has certainly multiplied. And to meet that challenge, as you rightly said, there are certain plans that are being formulated. Already you have a security plan for the Amarnath Yatra, but considering the added threat, now it seems that more troops will be mobilized, there would be more area domination, vulnerable spots will be pointed out, sensitive locations will be taken care of, and more importantly, heights from where the Yatra will go. We know that most of the stretch is mountainous, so heights will be occupied, and you'll have forces like CRPF, ITBP, other belt forces coming together and ensuring the presence of troops on those sensitive locations and heights. So all that
so that's a tactical reactive policy. We also want to know, and perhaps Piyush, that is where the CCS plays a very critical role in the strategic vision on, yes, you may succeed in killing these terrorists, but killing just these 3, 4, 5 Pakistani terrorists or their local support, that's pruning leaves and branches of the terror tree with roots in Pakistan. So what do we expect from this very crucial CCS, Piyush?
Well, Gaurav, one thing is clear, that government is going to hit hard, and very soon we will see the results. And that has also been, said by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. He has said that we will not only reach out to people who are behind, who have perpetrated this, but also people who are sitting behind the scenes and have conspired against our motherland, India. But before that, let me also try to show you the visuals from right outside 7 LKM, where this meeting will take place in a short while from now at around 6 p.m. What we are hearing is that Prime Minister is going to chair the crucial Cabinet Committee on Security meeting, in which Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Home Minister Amit Shah, along with him NSA Ajit Doval and other officials of Ministry of Home, Defence, from Raw Chief could also be there. So there are different leaders who will be part of this meeting, and this is a crucial meeting which is all set to take place in a few minutes from now. Remember that Prime Minister has cut short his visit of Saudi Arabia, and today in the morning he landed in Delhi. He directly, the moment he landed, he held a meeting there at the airport itself with NSA Ajit Doval, with Foreign Affairs Minister S. Shankar, and after that he has been holding series of meetings there at his residence. But yes, at 6 p.m. it's going to be very important to see as to what decision the government is going to take, as the Cabinet Committee on Security meeting is all set to take place at 6 minutes.
Stay with me. I want to bring in General Arun Sahni into this conversation. Sir, when you look at the entire spectrum of India's response to Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror, how do you perceive what Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh just said at Marshal of the Air Force Arjan Singh Memorial Lecture, when he said not just these terrorists, but even those who from behind the scenes were aiding and abetting them, there will be consequences for them? Or what's that effect, General?
Evening, Gaurav. Sorry, not really the best of time to come online with you, but I think what has happened has been extremely ghastly, has been perpetuated with a very, very sinister agenda to try and break the harmony in this country. This targeted killing of people because of religious thing is to fuel this communal divide that seems to be getting propagated by a lot of political mudslinging which happens, the Waqf bill that has happened now, and other activities. I think the answer that really lies in exactly what Mr. Rajnath Singh, our defense minister, stated. We will look at where this thing gets perpetuated. So any reaction that India has today has to hit the political establishment and the military hierarchy establishment that is behind this particular whole agenda. Right. I think the last time when we did go down and hit the terrorist camp, I think we need something else which is going to really hurt them hard, which actually is basically a shot below the belt to ensure that both the military standing as well as the political hierarchy there at the apex leadership finally wakes up. So I think that is carried in the message. Yeah.
So when we talk about hurting the real perpetrators of terror and not just pruning the branches, cutting the leaves and then celebrating, because clearly you don't expect the government to set the bar low, do a low jump and then celebrate. If it's the Narendra Modi government that did Balakot in 2019 after Pulwama, in your appreciation, does it have to be a military response or even a non-military response will make the Pakistani military jihad complex, the deep state, bleed? How does one make the deep state bleed, sir?
I think let's get it two things. A kinetic response has to be there. There has to be a visible response. The non-kinetic responses which you're talking about, which is happening in the international fora, whether it's on the economic or on other fronts, will continue. But I think what needs to be done, and I think the answer is very clear. We will respond, we will hit deep hard, we will hit where it hurts, but we will do it at the time and place of our own choosing. A reactive scenario is what is happening now, our tactical deployments, taking the necessary actions, fill up the voids that got created because of a larger action that had happened on our northern borders. I think we need to relook at, again, our our anti-terrorist grid within the valley. I think more importantly, I think when I look at the larger picture today, seeing what is happening in Bangladesh and the kind of statements that came out, the visit of the ISI chief to the area of Rangpur, Ashuganj, those areas, the exercises that are being done with the Chinese, the activity and the statement of Asif Munir just a few days back, where he talking about two-nation theory, highlighting the strength and support that their institution needs to give to the Muslims across in India. I think all together talk about a very, very deep agenda. And I think this time when we go in, I have no doubt there are enough plans that we have of hitting various places. But as I said, the time and place today of choosing, and I think the importance of the target that will be selected goes without stating that if the Prime Minister, the Finance Minister, if everybody cut short their visits, got back, you're going to have a Cabinet Committee of Security meeting. I think we should be very sure that there's going to be something which is much more. And I think with the kinetic response, there has to be a underlying agenda which needs to go in.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead.
So the point I was trying to make was it cannot be symbolic. It has to be punitive. It has to be detrimental to their existence as a military that runs a country. And I want to understand from you, because they claim they're a nuclear weapon state, they're a Muslim country, and it's their ideology that's at stake. And Kashmir is their Shehrag or jugular vein. And then they go into some kind of an Islamic rant that you heard coming out of Asif Munir. I mean, I've known generals like you, I've known generals in the Indian Army, and suddenly he sounds more like a zealot and some kind of a Mullah Maulana, more of that and less of a four-star general. But I want to understand from you, it's a nuclear weapon state. There will be consequences. He will hit back, whatever we do. Are we on top of that escalation ladder? And if so, till what extent? Because some people who float that nuclear bogey, why is that nuclear bogey just that, a bogey?
Let me just put it like this, that today, when you're functioning at a sub-conventional level, I think there will be responses that we can do which do not really require that. I mean, grandstanding and making all this noise about nuclear capability, and we have those capability, that is fine. But please remember, as I think a lot of our nuclear assessments that have been done by some of our very, very learned nuclear academicians and strategic analysts, it talks about how at the end of the day of a nuclear war coming up, what might hit us maybe about 10%, 2 or 3 cities, but it will actually lead to the annihilation as far as Pakistan is concerned. So I don't think we should get too worried. Yes, we should be conscious. I think there is a need for us to start looking at defanging these nuclear capabilities. I think taking help of people like what the Mossad and what the Israelis talk about needs to be looked at quite seriously at our own level. And I'm sure by saying this, it doesn't mean that we aren't looking at it. And I'm sure there are ways that we are looking at with collaboration, without collaboration, with support, or individually. So I don't think we should get too worried about the bogey card as far as the nuclear bit is concerned in this particular scenario. What is required is hit hard, but then it has to be sustained. It can't be that after this we have like a Pulwama, we had the Balakot, and then again it went low. Yes, may I also state there seems to have been, after the period of the way Kashmir was on the upward swing after the elections, and I think some very positive statements by the current government in power as well, along talking in harmony with the central government, seemed things were getting better. I think with the visiting of the President Vance coming in, with the kind of statements and activities Munir had made, maybe somewhere down the line, we should have also been a little more alert. But let me also put it in the right context. You cannot look after and have police deployed everywhere or the security forces everywhere.
True.
I think necessary security was done. It's a big nation. The terrorists will strike, but we now need to see after that that there is a sustained effort to ensure that we keep hitting the establishment, not only just the terrorist camp across the range, which really makes no difference. It has to be from the fulcrum from where it is coming. And there are very big means which are available to the state to try and execute that. And I'm sure there'll be more. I may not be the right guy to share it in a public forum. What are the options? But yes, the state has many means by which to keep targeting and ensure that there's a sustained pressure.
Big point you're making. Sustained pressure. Keep targeting, not just one Balakot, because as the External Affairs Minister also put it very aptly, Pakistan is, we know the DNA of that country. It's a bigoted country. That DNA is bigoted. The sooner we realize it, the sooner we understand it, internalize it, forget this Aman ki Asha. They don't want Aman ki Asha with India. Isn't that a fact, General? And we'll talk about that in greater detail. When those who say, let's revive, let's make borders disappear, you will have another Murshidabad in our country from this time happening from Pakistan, the moment you make borders disappear. But I want to get us more details, and I want our viewers to see more details. General, stay with me. It's a chilling episode. These terrorists in Pahalgam, and perhaps this will help Indians understand the DNA of Pakistan better. They targeted tourists, they segregated them, and they identified them by their religion. Hindu ho, to mare jaoge. That was the message that these Pakistani terrorists have. If even after that, we think that Pakistan wants good ties with India, because if Pakistan wanted good ties with India, trust me, they would have dismantled the India-centric military jihad complex. They would have hung Hafiz Muhammad Saeed by now. It's 17 years after 26/11. They would have hung that Maulana of terror called Masood Azhar. They still haven't done that. It just understand the DNA of that country. They are 50 shades of Hafiz Saeed. But may I, they found out if you're Muslim, you're permitted to go, except at one instance, one brave Kashmiri from Anantnag who was in the line of fire and made the supreme sacrifice of his life. But if you could recite the kalma, you were let off. If you couldn't recite the kalma, you were shot dead at point blank range. And wives were made to watch, children were made to watch as the husbands and fathers were killed in cold blood.
A chilling terror attack on tourists in the valley. Targeted firing in a popular tourist zone bustling with visitors, many of whom had gathered for photos in the scenic backdrop. Terrorists in Kashmir's Pahalgam targeted tourists on Tuesday after identifying them as non-Muslims. A heart-wrenching video of the incident surfaced online, showing tourists frantically calling out for help as dead bodies lying on the meadows can be seen in the video.
Okay, don't worry. You okay? You need a water, sir?
Victims could be heard saying that the attack was religiously motivated as terrorists shot tourists point blank after identifying them as Hindus. In a video that has gone viral, a grief-stricken woman is helplessly sitting beside her dead husband, Vinay Narwal, who was an Indian Navy officer. They were recently married and on their honeymoon in Kashmir. Narwal's wife Himanshi said that she was proud of her husband. Shubham Dwivedi, who had gone to Kashmir with his wife for a short vacation, was amongst the tourists killed in the attack. The two had got married just 2 months ago. The terrorist asked if the couple were Muslim and demanded they recite the Kalma, an Islamic declaration of faith.
जब मेरी भाभी से बात हुई तब उन्होंने मुझे बताया कि शुभम को गोली मार दी है और सर के पास गोली मार दी है। उससे कहा था कि हम आपको इसलिए जिंदा छोड़ रहे हैं ताकि आप जाकर के अपनी सरकार को बता सकें कि हमने आपके साथ क्या किया।
Another victim, Santosh Jagdale, a businessman from Pune, was among those shot and killed. His daughter, Asavari Jagdale, described how the terrorists specifically targeted male tourists after demanding they identify their religion.
फायरिंग करते टाइम उन लोगों ने जितने भी हिंदू लोग थे उनको पकड़ के धमकी दिया कि आप अजान पढ़ो और नहीं पढ़ोगे तो उनको गोलियां मार दी। तो उसमें मेरे पापा मतलब मेरे पिताजी थे और मेरे चाचा थे, उन दोनों को भी उन लोगों ने गोलियां मारी।
Asavari, her mother and another female relative were spared by the attackers. 32-year-old Neeraj Udvani from Jaipur was asked to show his ID card, after which he was shot dead. Neeraj's wife, Ayushi Udvani, was in the hotel when the tourists struck on Tuesday. His mother has been inconsolable.
बहुत गलत हुआ है और इसकी उचित कार्रवाई सरकार करेगी और हमारी भी सरकार से यही रिक्वेस्ट है, जैसे ये दूसरों के घर उजाड़ रहे हैं तो उनको सख्त से सख्त सजा मिले, जो इनके भी आगे मतलब हौसले बुलंद ना हो।
47-year-old Manjunath from Karnataka's Shivamoga was on a holiday with his wife Pallavi. This was one of their last moments together, enjoying a shikara boat ride in Srinagar. In another video that has gone viral, a group of tourists can be seen pleading for help, which arrived long after their tormentors had fled the scene.
अरे नहीं हम लोग फौज हैं, हम लोग बैठो हम लोग फौज हैं, बैठो चलो। अरे हम लोग फौजी हैं, कुछ नहीं करेंगे, आपकी सेफ्टी के लिए आए हैं, आपकी सेफ्टी के लिए आए हैं, बैठो।
Helyang, a resident of Tajang village in lower Subansiri district, was visiting Pahalgam with his newly wed wife when the attack occurred. According to sources, Helyang was questioned about his religion and stripped at gunpoint before discovering his IAF identity card. Upon confirming his affiliation with the armed forces, they shot him dead in front of his wife.
ये बहुत ही शॉकिंग ये हादसा है, हमारा ये देशवासी के लिए है और स्पेशली हमारा ये मेरा ये अपना भाई के लिए। कल हम सब पूरा एकदम से सदमा में रह गया अचानक।
This is my country which is bleeding today, from Arunachal Pradesh to Gujarat, from Kashmir to Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat. How many states do we name where we've lost Indians? 15 states we've lost people, fellow Indians, to this radical Islamist terror. What are India's options? What can India do? I have two of the finest military minds with me on this special broadcast. Lieutenant General Arun Sahni, former Army commander, stays with me on this special broadcast. Also with me on this special broadcast is Lieutenant General Konsum Himalay Singh. He comes from Manipur. And again, this shows you the power of our country, that we are such a vast country. From some of our finest military minds with me, General Singh, let me ask you, what are India's options in such a situation? After Pulwama, India did Balakot. Clearly, that wasn't enough for Pakistan's military jihad complex to stop terror in India.
Thank you for having me here, and particularly with General Sahni. He's well-wisher of mine, and so am I. Uh, I I really options are usually not discussed in TV channels, but we can talk broadly about what should be the approach.
Yes.
What should be the approach? See, normal people, most people will like to see some kind of a kinetic action against the terrorists and their sponsors. That is what people wish to see. But there is an angle to it that any kind of a response, has to be based on hard realities on the ground with all the instruments of the state.
Yes.
Military being the main instrument, that there is no denying that military will give the options which are generally available at all times for such an eventuality. And when the military options are given to the highest decision-making body, that is the CCS, and keeping in mind the other instruments, how is it we are going to channelize and how is going to play out? What is the escalation metrics going to be? Are we in a position to control the escalation? All that factors will be discussed.
And in your appreciation, are we on top of the escalation ladder? Because many skeptics argue, fine, we did Balakot, but next day they did an Operation Swift Retort, and Wing Commander, now Group Captain Abhinandan, was taken prisoner when his aging MiG-21 was shot down. Of course, after he'd shot down a Pakistan Air Force F-16, and then there was no further action. So are we on top of the escalation ladder?
See, that escalation ladder, as we go up into the realm of any escalation can go very quickly into the realm of war. So that is something that it's a political call based on the inputs given by all these instruments and particularly from the military.
But is Pakistan, I really want to figure out, I want to take it out of the academic realm. Is Pakistan in a position to go up that escalation ladder given its state of finances, General Sahni? We know its state of penury. We are told, one of their generals had gone on record that they have barely enough men and material, money for diesel in their automobiles to have a sustained war. We are told that they had withdrawn 2 divisions from the India-Pakistan LC to deploy it on the AFPAC border. Does that not give India an opportunity to exercise an option and deter Pakistan from any escalation? And anyways, I want to understand, is Pakistan in a position to escalate in your appreciation?
Gaurav, I think an absolute relevant question. Let me just put it like this. I think India and the Indian military establishment is very much in hand with the escalatory continuum. We have the capacity. Where I think the gravity of this situation is, I think the political hierarchy today at the CCS will identify the targets, and I think they're willing to go to war. And I think the military is willing to go to war if that is what it ends up in, if it goes beyond a particular stage of mind. So I don't think we need to worry too much on the fact, do we have the capability? Yes. Are we on the escalatory continuum? Do we have a handle on it? Yes, we have the capability. The capability of the Pakistan forces, is it weak? Yes, it is weak, but there is a lot that they can still do. Yes. And I think we'll be able to find out the methodology of being able to deal with it. What is more important in the non-kinetic plane? Please see that over 30 to 40% of economic institutions there are a handle on which the deep state is thriving. That's how all military officers who retire from there have got their beautiful dachas and beautiful bungalows sitting in, whether it's Dubai, whether it's in UAE, or whether it is in the hill stations out there. I think that economic institutions need to be targeted, which actually are being supported and are supporting the military. That should be in the economic plane. How we do it, there are many means to do it. And I think KH was absolutely right. We have colleagues from the army go down to NDA. I think he's right. We cannot discuss those. But yes, there are means by which we hit them. So let's hit the economic corner. We are ahead on the escalatory continuum. We should be prepared to go to war. If that is, as I say, a push comes to shove, yes. Whether he will have the gumption to raise it, I think what you raised was correct. he doesn't have the capability at this stage. If he does, he's asking for trouble as far as he is himself concerned.
Oh, absolutely. And I've learned all that I have from, from you, from generals like you, but being on the beat for the past 3 decades, I want to understand. And I want to understand that Pakistani mind through you. Pakistani mind is that of a bully. You step back, he will move forward. You buckle, you accommodate him, he will bully you. But the moment you slap him hard, wherever you do it, whatever way you do it, the moment you dhap him, he begs you for cover. He will then come and hit you some other way. He will come and do it some other way, some other time. But that time he runs away from battle. That is the Pakistani general's mind. He is very scared to fight a war in most of that. Their soldiers may be brave, but their generals are timid. General Himalay Singh, is that an, given past track record, given past history, given the way, each time from brass tacks till date, and, General Sani, you're an armored corps officer, the way, Ziaul Haq came running to India, the way Pakistani generals or the way Musharraf came to India, each time India shows them our might. Don't they step back? General Himalay Singh, or is my appreciation wrong?
No, your appreciation is right. The only thing I wish to say here is that it's a political call. We have the capacity, we have the capability to actually get into that on top of the escalatory ladder, that what you are saying. We have the capacity. And it is the cost. How much is the cost benefit and all that has to be. But I agree with your point that when this comes to the integrity of our country and, bleeding us through 1,000 cuts, that kind of a thing, then the cost has to be borne by the nation.
Okay.
I mean, we have prepared for escalatory ladder. That's all.
Stay with me for a moment. So the Cabinet Committee on Security is to begin shortly. Union Home Minister Amit Shah is en route the 7 Lok Kalyan Marg of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, where the Cabinet Committee on Security is to begin in a short while from now. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, Defence Secretary. We are told there are several secretaries who are also likely to be either in that room for that meeting or will be called in when inputs are needed. And I want to bring in Piyush Mishra once again for the latest inputs that are coming in. Piyush, what more can you tell us? The meeting's just set to begin. I believe inputs have been called from the armed forces, from the intelligence agencies. Bring us the latest, Piyush.
Well, absolutely, Gaurav. In short while from now, the meeting of a Cabinet Committee on Security to begin. For that, the members of this crucial decision-making body have already started arriving. I would ask my video journalist to show you the visuals of a convoy which is now parking right there at the parking, which is right next to 7 Lok Kalyan Marg. So we can see the vehicles also who have started trickling in. What we are now given to understand is that Home Minister Amit Shah, along with Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and other officials who have to take part in this meeting, they will reach here. And this place, which is right there on your television screen, the entry gate of 7 Lok Kalyan Marg, is going to be the most buzzing place in the next 1 to 2 hours. And after that, the kind of message which has been sent out by Rajnath Singh could also be implemented. A decision could be taken by the Cabinet Committee of Security. Remember that it is being chaired by PM Narendra Modi, in which the other members are Minister of External Affairs S. Jaishankar, Home Minister Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. They are the core members who are part of this, and depending on the severity of an issue, others could also be invited. So what we are told is that the chiefs of intelligence agencies, including IB, RAW, even they could also be the part of this crucial meeting, which is all set to begin in few minutes from now. Before that, we are already seeing as to how the vehicles have already started entering inside 7 Lok Kalyan Marg. As Home Minister Amit Shah has already left from his residence, we are told is that Defence Minister has reached here. Rajnath Singh has entered inside at 7 Lok Kalyan Marg, and so is Home Minister Amit Shah. So in few minutes from now, this meeting will begin, Gaurav, and then after that we can expect some sort of decision taken by this highest decision-making body on security things.
The Defence Minister has already reached 7 Lok Kalyan Marg. The Defence Minister had a detailed briefing with the 3 service chiefs. He was briefed by the Army Chief, the Navy Chief and the Air Chief. What we are also being told is various contingencies are being war-gamed. And Piyush, you've also been speaking to your sources in the Ministry of Home Affairs. I want to understand from you, there are 2 aspects to this. One is an external aspect, the other is the internal aspect. When you talk about conflict, you also have to ensure your flanks are well covered, and not just in Jammu and Kashmir. What is the assessment on internal security?
Well, as far as the internal security is concerned, Gaurav, we saw as to how Home Minister Amit Shah held crucial meetings here. He went there, he met with bereaved families, he interacted with officials there, and he has been updated about each and every development. And now, as Amit Shah is here at 7 Lok Kalyan Marg, is going to brief Prime Minister about the current situation, the updated situation there in Jammu and Kashmir. So it's going to be very important to see as to what Amit Shah briefs to Prime Minister and how the Cabinet Committee on Security further moves. But yes, it is very much important that there are some questions those have been raised after this attack. The local intelligence failure is also what is being said by various people. So there are different aspects on which the discussions will take place. And what is more important is that the attack took place when US Vice President J.D. Vance was on his 4-day visit to India. So looking at the severity of this situation, this meeting has been called in. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had to cut short his Saudi Arabia visit. He today in the morning landed at Param Technical Airport, and the moment he landed, he was briefed by NSA Ajit Doval, External Affairs Minister Jai Shankar, and after that we are already seeing Home Minister Amit Shah arriving from Jammu and Kashmir, and certainly is going to tell Prime Minister about the current situation. We'll have to see how the government is now going to move ahead, and look forward to give the Karara Jawab which has already been promised by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh.
General Sahani, in your appreciation, the Karara Jawab that is being talked about, if I were to quote Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, at the Marshal of the Air Force Arjun Singh Memorial Lecture, he said, "Zordar tarike se." जिसने उसको जोरदार जवाब मिलेगा. Not just those who were involved in the terror attack, General Sahani, but also those who were behind the scenes, पर्दे के पीछे बैठकर जिन्होंने इस हमले की साजिश रची, उनको भी जवाब दिया जाएगा. What does this mean in your appreciation, sir?
So I think, let me just put it, there will be a kinetic response. The target that would be selected for this kinetic response will be high profile, and I feel at this stage it would be something which will actually hurt the political and the military establishment. It has to be such, hitting some of these minor terrorist camps here across the launching pads, etc., is par for the game. I don't think that should be really talked about. So it's going to be there. The second issue, when he talked about the perpetuators of this crime, which we all know as the deep state, that means there are going to be plans, as I said, whether we are looking at economic targets, whether we are looking at targeting them at different fronts through the different instruments of national power, that will take place. So a sustained effort, which is what I talked about, seems to be on the card, because hitting the perpetuators is not a one-off shot. It is a shot which has to be sustained over a period of time.
Yes.
It has to be continuum. So you will find activities which will happen in the visible, the tactical, operational and strategic realm. You will find actions that will happen in the other space, which is the non-kinetic space, where you will see things being done to these people who most of us know who are the perpetrators of those crimes, which are the institutions which are supporting it, which are the hubs that are supporting it, whether, as he said, that there is one retired Pak soldier who was part of this terrorist foursome.
Asif Fauji, yes, yes.
So
let me...
I think we know where the shoe bites. I'm sure we'll make it pinch this time and let it keep pinching till they wake up to the reality of life.
Okay, stay with me, Generals. General Himalaya Singh and General Sahni, stay with me as we discuss India's kinetic and non-kinetic options and responses. Because remember, Pakistan's military jihad complex, for decades, it's followed a sustained policy of bleeding India through 1,000 cuts. Whether it was sending in raiders in 1947, and let me not go back to 1947, 1993 Mumbai serial blast, 257 killed. We wanted Aman Ki Asha, we wanted talks with Pakistan. We think dialogue with Pakistan or strengthening democracy in Pakistan will keep India safer. There is a democratic government right now, or a hybrid government in Pakistan. Are we safer? 2006, 200 people were killed in the Mumbai train blast. 2008, 26/11, 166 massacred. Ahmedabad blast, 57 massacred. Jaipur blast, Raghunath temple, Akshardham temple, so many temples have been targeted in our country, and even now, Pathankot, Pulwama, Prime Minister Narendra Modi attempted to have good relations with Pakistan. They don't want good relations with you. It's a deep state born out of hate, and you have to know the enemy's mind. Just read General Asim Munir's mind. How he hates Hindus, how he hates India, and he's made that very clear on more occasions than one. He is what personifies Pakistan. A quick break. I'll be back with lots more, and we shall take this to its logical conclusion, because India and Indians have to be kept safe from Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. Aman Ki Asha or no Aman Ki Asha, borders or no borders, Pakistan has to bleed for bleeding India, and bleed more so that it stops bleeding India. A quick break. Back with the headlines and our top stories. Stay with us.
Motorola Edge 60 Fusion. Edge out the ordinary.
While covering news, there is no room for fluff. No distractions, no dodging the truth. No blanks, no misfires, just sharp, fearless journalism. Every story, every debate, every question, straight to the point.
Motorola Edge 60 Fusion. Edge out the ordinary.
Hi, here are the top headlines presented by Motorola. Amit Shah meets families of victims of Pahalgam attack. High alert in Punjab after Pahalgam attack. Congress calls emergency CWC meeting in Delhi tomorrow.
Pakistan terrorists killed 28 innocents. India vows befitting reply. Prime Minister to chair key security meet. What will be India's response? Five top ministers to decide.
Good evening. Welcome to our continuing coverage. In just a short while from now, the Cabinet Committee on Security is all set to begin, and all eyes on the Narendra Modi government's Cabinet Committee on Security. Remember what these terrorists had said. Remember what eyewitnesses had said. They had very clearly taken the Prime Minister's name as they killed husbands in front of their wives, as they killed fathers in front of their sons and daughters. They said, go tell Modi. That was a clear challenge thrown in the direction of the Narendra Modi government in general and the Prime Minister in particular. All eyes on Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led government right now on the Cabinet Committee on Security. The Prime Minister cut short his visit to Saudi Arabia. He rushed back to India the moment this incident happened. The Home Minister was immediately tasked to go to Kashmir, go to Srinagar, take an on-the-ground assessment of the situation, and now he'll come back. He'll brief Prime Minister Narendra Modi, then he'll brief the Cabinet Committee on Security on what he saw. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has already been briefed by the three service chiefs, and the Prime Minister now is to chair this very crucial CCS after the Pahalgam terror attack. The Union Home Minister, the Union Defence Minister, the External Affairs Minister, the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, they've all reached the Prime Minister's residence for this very important meeting. And I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Piyush Mishra, our man on ground, for more on this. Piyush, this perhaps is one of the most watched CCS meetings in recent times, where the conversation is all about what will India do? What will Prime Minister Narendra Modi's response to Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror be, Piyush?
Well, absolutely, Gaurav. And just ahead of this meeting, we remember as to how Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has made it very clear that the government will not only reach out to the perpetrators who are behind this, but also the people who plotted against our country, our country, and everybody will be brought to the task. That's what Defence Minister has assured. And as we are speaking, this meeting has begun. Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, along with Home Minister Amit Shah, NSA Ajit Doval, External Affairs Minister Jai Shankar, they all have reached. And let me straight away try to show you the visuals also from right outside the 7 Lok Kalyan Marg, where we are seeing the traffic movement, which has also been affected as the convoy of both top ministers of the government, Home Minister Amit Shah and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. This convoy is parked right in front of the main entry gate of 7 local landmark, and the gates, those are there on your television screens right now, is going to be the place from where we are going to keep a close watch on as to who all are now going to take part in this crucial meet. As we are speaking, the top 3 ministers, Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, and Ajit Doval, along with him Union External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, they all have reached, and what we are also learning is that other officials from intelligence agencies, even they could also be the part of this meetup. Also at 7 p.m. Gaurav, there is a briefing also by Ministry of External Affairs. And in that briefing, we will be able to know how the government is moving ahead as far as fulfilling its promise of giving a befitting reply to the people who are behind this.
Very interesting. So External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will be briefing, and this becomes very significant. Not only is one of the senior most leaders or ministers in the Narendra Modi government a part of the Cabinet Committee on Security, briefing the media or telling the world India's stance. So this is where India is making its stance very clear, not just to that radical Islamist state sponsor of terror, but to the entire world. And that is why one of the most articulate voices of Government of India, somebody whose thinking is completely in sync with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, somebody who's voiced India's opinion, especially on the bigotry that we see in the DNA of Pakistan, Dr. S. Jaishankar, he will be briefing the media at 7:30. And you watch all of that here on India Today, because it's on India Today that you get news first, factual, and in the country's interest, in national interest. I want to bring in Jitendra Bahadur Singh, who joins me on this special broadcast. And Jitendra has been tracking all developments in the Ministry of Home Affairs. Jitendra, गृह मंत्री कश्मीर कल ही पहुंच गए थे इस घटना के कुछ घंटों बाद, और उसके बाद न केवल वो पीड़ितों से मिले हैं जिनको इन आतंकवादियों ने, दुर्दांत आतंकवादियों ने जिस तरह से मौत के घाट उतारा, उनके परिवारों से मिले, बल्कि सुरक्षा का पूरा उन्होंने जायजा लिया। उसके बाद हम किस तरह के परिवर्तन की बात कर रहे हैं आंतरिक सुरक्षा में, पहली बात, और दूसरी बात, क्या इस बात के अब ठोस सबूत निकलकर सामने आए हैं जो दुनिया के सामने रख सकते हैं कि इसमें पाकिस्तान का हाथ था?
गौरव, पिछले 24 घंटे से हम केंद्रीय गृह मंत्री अमित शाह को फॉलो कर रहे हैं। जब कल उन्होंने बैठक शुरू की, उसके बाद यहां से जब वो रवाना हुए कश्मीर के लिए, और लगातार वो कश्मीर में सुरक्षा एजेंसियों के साथ बैठक भी उनकी तरफ से किया। उनके चेहरे का भाव मैं इस वक्त देख रहा हूँ, और अभी जब वो CCS की बैठक के लिए निकले तो उनके हाथों में एक लाल कलर की फाइल थी। यानी कि किस तरीके का उस लाल कलर की जो फाइल का मतलब क्या है, इस बैठक के बाद तय होगा। और 7:30 बजे जो विदेश मंत्री के द्वारा प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस की जाएगी, उसमें तमाम चीजें क्लियर होगी। लेकिन केंद्रीय गृह मंत्री अमित शाह का जो चेहरा हम इस वक्त देख रहे हैं, वो काफी गुस्से में है, और उन तो जिस तरीके से हमने देखा कि सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस जब वो हेलीकॉप्टर के जरिए उस एरिया का जहां पर आतंकवादियों ने ताबड़तोड़ फायरिंग की, वहां पर हेलीकॉप्टर से उन्होंने पूरा रेकी भी किया, देखा। अब उन्होंने जो सूत्र हमारे बताते हैं कि सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस को पूरी तरीके से निर्देश उनकी तरफ से दिया गया है कि जिन आतंकवादियों ने इस पूरी कायराना हरकत को उनकी तरफ से अंजाम दिया गया है उनके खिलाफ बड़ी कार्रवाई हो। और इसीलिए हमने देखा कि सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेज लगातार उन इलाकों में जो जंगल के इलाके हैं वहां पर कॉम्बिंग ऑपरेशन कर रहे हैं। लगातार जो है ऑपरेशन अलग अलग स्थानों पर किए जा रहे हैं। कुछ जगहों से खबरें भी आ रही हैं आतंकवादियों के ढेर करने की, लेकिन जिन आतंकवादियों ने इस वैली में जाकर के जो पर्यटक हैं उनके ऊपर हमला किया, अभी उन आतंकवादियों को सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज के द्वारा ढूंढा जा रहा है और उनके खिलाफ कड़ी कार्रवाई होगी। हालांकि
लेकिन जो रक्षा मंत्री राजनाथ सिंह ने कहा, जी आप रहिए मेरे साथ जितेंद्र, क्योंकि आप महत्वपूर्ण बात बता रहे हैं। ऑल्सो ज्वाइनिंग मी इज माय कोलीग मुनीश पांडे ऑन द स्पेशल ब्रॉडकास्ट। जो आप महत्वपूर्ण बात यह बता रहे थे कि न केवल वो आतंकवादी जिन्होंने इस घटना को अंजाम दिया, रक्षा मंत्री राजनाथ सिंह ने क्या कहा? रक्षा मंत्री राजनाथ सिंह ने साफ किया, पर्दे के पीछे से जो दिशा दे रहे थे इस आतंक को, उनको भी जोरदार जवाब मिलेगा। And Munish, that very clearly sets the agenda of what the Narendra Modi government intends to do. Not just those terrorists who were involved in this terror attack, but those who were behind the scenes directing this terror attack. So what kind of evidence has India been able to gather? Is the External Affairs Minister expected to present that to the world, or enough of dossiers? We've done that year after year, decade after decade after 26/11. You and I were reporting from Mumbai. Now it's time to keep India safe. Whatever it takes.
Absolutely, Gaurav. And in last 24 hours, what we have seen is the intelligence gathering by the security forces. Now, what we have gathered from our sources within the intelligence agencies, that the amount of evidence they have gathered, it is undeniable that it is Pakistan. It is Pakistan behind this, coward attack. Now, as far as, the evidence are concerned, a few things which we have been told by the intelligence sources, security forces, is the use of military-grade weapons. Apart from that, the advanced communication devices which were used by these terrorists, that indicates that it was again the involvement of Pakistan. Trained handlers, these are some undeniable evidence. But the most important part is, Gaurav, the intelligence sources are indicating that the operatives were sitting in Muzaffarabad and in Karachi, and that is why we are seeing such a strong response from the Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh, strong response from the government. And Gaurav, we have seen in past also what this government is capable of doing when such incidents happens in our country, on our soil. So in this meeting also, it is expected that some concrete steps, some concrete decision will be taken. Pakistan will be given a bloody nose. But at this point of time, what we are hearing is that dossier has been prepared with all the evidence which will be presented before the Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Okay.
And based on that, further decision will be taken. Gaurav.
Interesting, you should point this out. So India, if you notice, legally whatever India does is on a very solid footing, so that nobody can question India in the international court and or in any international forum. Each time India has given Pakistan an opportunity to come clean. Remember, even after Pakistani terrorists had attacked the Indian Air Force base in Pathankot, much against what everyone in the security apparatus was saying, Prime Minister Narendra Modi permitted Pakistanis to come into India, including that dreaded radical Islamist intelligence agency called the ISI. They were permitted to come to Pathankot, assess for themselves and go back with the hope and of course expectation that any decent country would have, that they will go and punish the perpetrators. Did they? They did not. And that is why Pakistan, whatever action India takes, it will be justified, because India's expectations of Pakistan, Piyush, they've always in the past, we've given them dossier after dossier after a dossier, whether it was 1993, blasts about Dawood Ibrahim, Tiger Memon living in Karachi, given them addresses in Karachi. Under American request, pressure, whatever you may want to call it, previous governments in the past have given details of active live location of terrorists in Pakistan, expecting Pakistan to take action against them. Pakistan just encouraged those terrorists to leave. So no point giving a dossier to that radical Islamist terror state, Piyush.
Well, certainly, Gaurav, we have taken a lot of decisions to isolate Pakistan, but it seems like a lot needs to be done. And for that, the government is working on that. We are seeing as to how since morning, PM Narendra Modi has been holding series of meetings. He was briefed the moment he landed at Param Technical Airport, and as we are speaking, he is chairing the crucial cabinet committee on a security meeting. Remember that we have multiple times shown the real face of Pakistan. We have shown them mirror. In fact, Pakistan has been exposed on international platform also multiple times, but Pakistan has always denied, its involvement in carrying out terror attacks against India. And today also we saw how there was an official statement which was released by Pakistan where it claimed that this attack has taken place because of the internal disturbance in India. It has happened because, people are not happy with the government. So we have seen how multiple times Pakistan has been denying this. But yes, we have evidence. We have all the proofs, and like Munish was also telling us that in the last 24 hours, our security agencies have been able to gather undeniable allegations against Pakistan, and certainly we will go all out against Pakistan and tell them as to how their involvement is there in this terror attack also, because it is the biggest ever terror attack carried out against civilians since 26/11. We remember that, when last time in year 2000, when Bill Clinton, the then American president, was to visit India on March 21 to 24. On March 20th, the dastardly attack was carried out in Anantnag, where around 36 Sikhs were massacred. And at that time also, Pakistan had denied. I'm
surprised. You're right.
Is concerned. We are now seeing how this attack has taken place at a time when U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance was on his visit, and then this attack has been carried out. So clearly, Pakistan wants to send out a message to international community. But yes, India is certainly going to take actions, and for that, the assurance has already been made by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh.
Pakistan should actually be called Denialistan if it's not called Terroristan, because that is exactly what that radical Islamist state sponsor of terror is. But Jitendra, मैं आपसे समझना चाहता हूँ समय कि किस तरह के सबूत भारत के पास हैं, क्योंकि वैसे तो दुनिया को कन्विंस करने की, बताने की आवश्यकता है नहीं, दुनिया पीड़ित है पाकिस्तान प्रायोजित आतंकवाद से, लेकिन किस तरह के सबूत भारत के पास हैं इस समय?
और देखिए गौरव, भारत के पास इस वक्त पुख्ता सबूत इस हमले को लेकर के आ चुके हैं, जो हमारे सूत्र बताते हैं, क्योंकि जो सैफुल्ला कसूरी है उसके बारे में जानकारी मिली है कि रावलकोट में 2 लश्कर के आतंकवादी जो कमांडर हैं उनके साथ इसकी बैठक हुई, और वही एक बड़ा मास्टरमाइंड है उसके बारे में जानकारी मिली। ये आतंकी जो है ये कुछ दिन पहले पहले से ही जम्मू कश्मीर में घुस चुके थे। 2 जो पाकिस्तानी आतंकी हैं जिनके बारे में पता चल रहा है कि वो पश्तो लैंग्वेज बोल रहे थे। सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज जब उस इलाके में पहुंची और जब उन्होंने वहां के लोकल से बात किया तो उन्होंने जानकारी दिया कि पश्तो लैंग्वेज में आपस में बातचीत कर रहे थे। तो इस तरीके से कि पाकिस्तान से भेजे गए ये आतंकी जो हैं इनके बारे में जानकारी सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज के पास आ चुकी। एनआईए को रोप इन किया गया इस पूरे इलाके में, एनआईए वहां पर मौजूद है। इस पूरे केस को लेकर के आईजी स्तर के अधिकारी हैं, एक डीआईजी, एसपी एनआईए के मौजूद हैं। इस पूरे केस को एनआईए की तरफ से पूरा देखा जाएगा। जिस तरीके से हमने देखा कि पुलवामा में अटैक हुआ था, उस दौरान एनआईए ने सीधे तौर पर जो पाकिस्तान में बैठे आतंकी हैं, जैश ए मोहम्मद के आतंकी, उन आतंकवादियों का पूरी तरीके से इसमें हाथ था। तो यहाँ पर जिस तरीके से लश्कर तैयबा का जो मुखौटा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है TRF, उसका सीधे सीधे तौर पर हाथ आ रहा है, और सैफुल्ला कसूरी जो है एक बड़ा आतंकी मास्टरमाइंड है जो कि लगातार आतंकियों को रेडिकलाइज करता है। उसके साथ साथ वो भारत भेजने के लिए जो यहाँ के ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर हैं उनको फंडिंग भी करता है। तो इस तरीके की जानकारी सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज के पास आ चुकी हैं, जिसको लेकर के NIA अब इस पर एक्शन आने समय में लेगी।
जी, यही दुर्भाग्य है कि धर्म के नाम पर आतंक का खेल खेलता है ये कुटिल देश पाकिस्तान। एंड Munish, I want to understand this from you in greater detail, because as far as government of India is concerned, one Balakot clearly in 2019 wasn't enough to send across that message to Pakistan's military jihad infrastructure that there will be costs on terror. Or are we to understand that every army chief in Pakistan thinks that he is the Muhammad bin Qasim incarnate? Every Pakistani army chief thinks he is the Muhammad Ghori and Mahmood of Ghazni incarnate, that he will come and he will win Kashmir or India. That is their mindset, and Asim Munir perhaps is amongst the worst of the lot. If we were to understand India's strategy, since you've been speaking to your sources, what is the way India intends to move forward from this point in dealing with Pakistan terror?
Well, Gaurav, one thing is very clear. Thinking that Pakistan is going to act on the evidence given by India or Indian intelligence agencies, it won't be right, because we have seen in 2011 terror attack case also, when India presented the evidence before the Pakistan, they denied. Gaurav, you remember that video of Ajmal Kasab,
yes,
where he, on camera, he accepted that he is from Pakistan, he came to India, and he killed the innocent people in Taj Hotel. But again, Pakistan denied. We sent a reporter in Pakistan who identified where Kasab was living in Pakistan, but again, Pakistan denied. Not only that, in 2611 case or even in train blast case, we sent the details of those Pakistani individuals who crossed the borders, came to India, and did the terror attack. But Pakistan has been in denial again. But this time, I think India is preparing to give a befitting reply to Pakistan, because Pakistan is not going to learn lesson if there is a, if there is a diplomatic pressure from India, because Pakistan is isolated. The entire world knows the face of Pakistan, right from US to European countries. Every country has come in support of India, even in this, Pahalgam attack. But as far as Pakistan is concerned, they are isolated in the eyes of all the important countries,
yes,
but they are not going to act, and that is why it is expected that based on the evidence, the government is going to act very strictly against Pakistan this time.
Pakistani terror has been bleeding India for decades, but somewhere down the line, Piyush, will the Prime Minister also be talking about perhaps internally how we need to strengthen the security grid, and how the security grid wasn't in place at all in Jammu and Kashmir, and especially in Pahalgam, which was literally bursting at the seams when it comes to these terrorists? What more can you tell us about where internally there were so many places where India has been found wanting?
Well, certainly, a lot of challenges have come in front after this attack, because, when the tourists were there enjoying the scenic beauty of Kashmir, they are at meadows in Mughal Garden. What we are now given to understand is that in the periphery of that entire area, there was not enough presence of security forces. So now the country needs to identify these spots. We'll have to also look into the challenges which it faces whenever there is a peak in tourism, whenever there is a peak in tourist season. So there are multiple things on which the government will have to work on, and in this meeting which is right now going on, the Cabinet Committee on Security meeting, we can certainly expect Home Minister Amit Shah and Rajnath Singh and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to brief Prime Minister about the current situation, and also point out the challenges which the government is also facing as far as the security apparatus is concerned. Also,
clearly
it's very much important to highlight about the involvement of local support to these
Go on.
So there are multiple things on which the discussions will be focused on. We'll have to see what happens after this meeting comes to an end.
Because so far, जितेंद्र, मैं समझना चाहता हूं कि 2019 के बाद से जब एक बार बालाकोट में वो प्रिवेंटिव एयर स्ट्राइक्स हो गई, उसके बाद से ये पाया गया कि पुलवामा में लोकल सपोर्ट आतंकवादियों को मिलता था और उस लोकल सपोर्ट को खत्म करने के लिए और खासतौर पर अनुच्छेद 370 हटने के बाद इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट की रेड, इन्फोर्समेंट डायरेक्टरेट की रेड, सीबीआई की रेड, तमाम तलाशी, प्रयास यह था कि आतंकवादियों के पास जो पैसा आता है, जो ओजीडब्ल्यू या ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर के पास पैसा आता है, उसको सिस्टम से सक आउट कर लिया जाए, उसको सिस्टम से निकाल दिया जाए। पैसा नहीं होगा तो पत्थरबाजी नहीं होगी। तो गनीमत यह है कि ईश्वर की कृपा से पत्थरबाजी तो रुक गई, लेकिन आतंक को समर्थन क्या यह धर्म के नाम पर अभी भी मिल रहा है? क्या आतंक के समर्थन की कमर तोड़ने में अभी भी सरकार सफल नहीं हो पाई है, जितेंद्र?
और देखिए गौरव, जिस तरीके से आतंकवादियों ने वहां पर कृत्य किया है, उन्होंने धर्म पूछ करके, नाम पूछ करके गोलियां चलाई हैं। ऐसे में ये लगता है कि आतंकवादियों के जिस तरीके के मंसूबे थे, कुछ उसी तरीके का सपोर्ट उसको वहां से लोकल जो ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर हैं उनसे मिल रहा था। हालांकि एनआईए की तरफ से कई बार एक्शन किए गए, चाहे वो टीआरएफ का या फिर जैश ए मोहम्मद या लश्कर के आतंकियों के जो ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर रहे हैं, उनके खिलाफ कई बार एक्शन किए गए। एफआईआर भी एनआईए की तरफ से दर्ज किया गया और रेड्स भी कई बार मारे गए। लेकिन जो ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर हैं, उनको किस तरीके से जो आतंकी कमांडर्स हैं जो पाक अधिकृत कश्मीर या फिर पाकिस्तान में मौजूद हैं, वो रेडिकलाइज कर रहे हैं। फंडिंग जो उनको हो रही है, उसको एजेंसीज जो है पूरी तरीके से रोकने में कामयाब नहीं हो रही। इसी वजह से हमने देखा कि पिछले कुछ दिनों में जो पहले हथियार भेजने का उनका तरीका होता था, उस तरीके को उन्होंने पूरी तरीके से अलग सिस्टम अपनाया और ड्रोन के जरिए हथियार भेजने का। जम्मू रीजन में भी ड्रोन के जरिए कई बार हथियार और पिस्टल्स जो हैं वो पकड़े गए हैं। तो एजेंसीज इस बात को लेकर के देख रही हैं कि जो ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर हैं वो किस तरीके से। एक जानकारी ये भी है कि जो हाइब्रिड टेररिस्ट हैं वो पूरी तरीके से बहुत ज्यादा खतरा पैदा करते हैं इस इलाके में, क्योंकि वैसे आतंकी जो पहले सिविलियन की तरह उन इलाकों में रहते हैं और अचानक से ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर या फिर आतंकी अटैक कर देते हैं और टारगेटेड किलिंग करने में इन हाइब्रिड आतंकियों का पूरा हाथ रहता है। तो ये लोग जो है पाकिस्तान से जो आतंकी आते हैं उनको ये पूरी तरीके से संरक्षण देते हैं। आज हमने एक खुफिया एजेंसी के अधिकारी से बातचीत किया, उनकी तरफ से कहा गया कि पूरी तरीके से हम लोग जो इनके ऊपर टेक्निकल सर्विलांस बैठा करके रखते थे, मोबाइल से इनकी जो बातचीत होती थी, उन तमाम चीजों पर नजर रखा जाता था। अब इन्होंने पूरी तरीके से ये बातचीत करना बंद कर दिया है और इनके जो ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर हैं वो मैसेज, चिट्ठी और इस तरीके से लेकर के जाते हैं। अटैक कहां करना है उसको जानकारी ये लोग माउथ टू माउथ देते हैं। तो एक तरीके का नया प्लान इनकी तरफ से तैयार किया गया है,
बहुत
जो
महत्वपूर्ण
एजेंसीज के लिए एक बड़ा सिरदर्द है और एजेंसीज इसको लेकर के भी काम कर रहे हैं।
Munish, stay with me, and I want to talk to our team, and I want our viewers to understand these terms. Hybrid terrorist. He could be like you and I during the day, working in maybe a restaurant, maybe some office, maybe a school teacher, maybe a professor, may just be a police officer, maybe some other service, maybe somewhere else, but a terrorist, and he moonlights as a terrorist. So he'll carry out a terror attack, he'll be given a weapon, carry out a terror attack, return that weapon and come back in mainstream. हमारी आस्तीन में असल सांप जो है ना, वो यही हाइब्रिड टेररिस्ट है, सिटिंग अमंगस्ट अस एंड ब्लीडिंग अस, द ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर and the hybrid terrorist. These are terms we will decode with our analysts and experts. And Munish, stay with me, but I want to take our viewers to what happened at Pahalgam, because every Indian must know this. These terrorists had specific targets in mind. They deliberately chose the meadow in Pahalgam. Why? It's away from the roadhead and not just a couple of meters or 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes walk. If you walk slow, it's an hour away, otherwise half an hour to 45 minutes away. So they know, and the internet signal very poor there, phone connectivity extremely poor there. That is something for the telecom minister now to look into. But I'll also tell you the flip side of that story in a moment. But understand this: phone connectivity poor, network poor, takes 45 minutes to go there. The moment terrorists carried out that terror attack, it took more than 45 minutes for that information to filter down to the security forces. Why weren't they deployed there is the big question when there are hundreds of tourists there. One chowki, 10 police personnel or CRPF personnel, one QRT. There are many questions that remain unanswered, but then do keep in mind the terrorists, sadly, they're a step ahead of our security forces in Kashmir. At least this incident seems to indicate that.
These are the faces of terror. The Pakistan-backed terrorists who opened fire at unsuspecting tourists. 3 of them, Asif Fauji, Suleiman Shah and Abu Talha, were part of the elite proxy Falcon squad. Probe agencies have released these sketches of the terrorists. Forensic analysis and survivor testimonies have revealed shattering details. Terrorists used military-grade weapons, suggesting that the attackers were well-equipped and well-trained. They used advanced communication devices, indicating coordination and external logistical support. The precision and planning of the attack points to involvement of trained handlers, not local amateurs. Intelligence intercepts point to direct links between the attackers and Pakistan-based operatives. Digital footprints of the attackers have been traced to safe houses in Muzaffarabad and Karachi. Pahalgam terrorists had clear targets in mind. They chose Baisaran Valley deliberately, a non-motorable area, knowing that there will be no place for tourists to hide and that rescue will take time. Were government officials and families primary targets of terrorists? Sources have told India Today that it was specific operation as some government officials and families were on a group vacation in Pahalgam. Terrorists checked identity cards before killing victims. Some government officials are also among those injured. 3 judges of Kerala High Court are also among the survivors. They left Pahalgam hours before the attack. India has vowed a strong and befitting response.
और हम सिर्फ उन लोगों तक नहीं पहुंचेंगे जिन्होंने इस घटना को अंजाम दिया है। हम उन तक भी पहुंचेंगे जिन्होंने पर्दे के पीछे बैठकर हिंदुस्तान की सरजमी पर ऐसी नापाक हरकतों की साजिशें रची हैं। मैं इस मंच से देशवासियों को आश्वस्त करता हूं, घटना के मद्देनजर भारत सरकार वो हर कदम उठाएगी जो जरूरी और उपयुक्त होगा।
All eyes now are on India's response. What will it be and when? With Munish Pandey and Manjeet Negi, Bureau Report, India Today.
And I want to take you straight to Karnal in Haryana. Lieutenant Vinay Narwal's mortal remains have just reached home, and it seems the entire city, entire Karnal, has come out to pay their last respects to the brave young Indian Navy officer who was killed by these Pakistani terrorists in Pahalgam. He just got married last week. On the 16th, they got married. Incidentally, from what friends are telling India Today, that they wanted to go overseas for their honeymoon. There were some issues with the visa, so they decided to go to Kashmir instead. I want to bring in my colleague Asim Basi. Asim, it seems entire Karnal, or more than Karnal, it seems the entire Haryana is there to pay their last respects to this brave son of our country.
Yeah, everybody's in pain, and in Karnal, Vinay Narwal is known for his popularity, for being a very, very sincere guy, and it is very sad that the way he has been killed. He just got married last week, and here are the visuals you can see outside the house of Vinay Narwal in Sector 7 of Karnal, where the people have gathered in big number. Even the naval officials have come in big number because he is the lieutenant of the Indian Navy, and very soon his dead body has been taken inside the house, and very soon, in few minutes, his dead body will be placed in this van and he will be taken to the local crematorium for the cremation. And we spoke to his grandfather in the morning, his maternal uncle in the morning, and they all said that Vinay was a very brave person, and he always wanted to serve the nation by joining the forces, either military or Air Force or Navy. So eventually he joined the Navy. I will tell you that this is the same family which is in a happy mode last week, because on 16th of April, Vinay Nawal got married. And on 19th of April, there was a reception party of the couple, and thereafter they went to Kashmir for the honeymoon. But nobody knew that this would happen, this tragic incident would happen out there. And yes, a lot of people from Karnal have come out of the houses, come out of the streets to the house of Vinay Nawal to express their solidarity with the family. And a few minutes back, when the dead body of Vinay Nawal came, there was a huge protest against Pakistan. Everybody was raising slogans against Pakistan. The family was demanding an action against Pakistan. And it clearly shows the kind of anger and the kind of pain not only the family is going through, but every Indian is going through after this kind of an attack which has taken place and left everybody shocked that how innocent tourists who had gone for some fun, some holiday, for a good time there with their families, near ones and dear ones, and how this entire thing happened. And many of the people who were roaming there in Pahalgam were targeted, and 28 innocent tourists were gunned down. You can see now the slogans, Bharat Mata Ki Jai.
Oh, absolutely.
These are the scenes here in Karnal where Vinay Nawal lived all his life.
True Bharat Mata ki Jai would be when you can keep India safe from Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. Okay, this breaking news that's coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. I quickly want to cut across to Kulgam, where breaking news is coming in. An encounter has broken out between security forces and suspected terrorists. This is in the Tanmarg area. It is in the Tanmarg area in Kulgam, where we are told a top Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist, remember Lashkar-e-Taiba, ever since 2019 is trying to peddle a secular name called the Resistance Front, so that the hackles of the world are not raised when the real name Lashkar-e-Taiba is known to the world. So we're told there's an encounter underway. I want to cut across to Ashraf Vani, who gets us more on the story. Ashraf, what more can you tell us about the terrorist who's trapped and the encounter that's on?
Absolutely, Gaurav. Basically, this is a major success so far for the security forces within hours after the heinous terror incident in the Pahalgam. The security forces have managed to establish a contact with one of the top Lashkar commanders in the Kulgam, who was hiding in the Tangmarg area of Kulgam district in South Kashmir. This village, Tangmarg, is a forested area. It is far from the Kulgam town, and it is believed that the Lashkar commander with one of his associates probably is hiding in that particular area. There is exchange of fire currently going on. Security forces have cornered this specific area where this encounter is going on, and have sealed all the exit and entry points towards that area, so that these terrorists could not manage to flee from the area if they are one or two. But currently the exchange of fire from the both sides going on, and the additional forces rushing to the spot so that this Lashkar commander could be neutralized, and it will be a big relief for those all victims who had been killed in the Pahalgam terror attack.
Ashraf, for the moment, many thanks for joining me on this. While it's important to kill terrorists who are caught here, do keep in mind these terrorists, they're the lowest of the low in that terror hierarchy. They are extras. They are like the scum of the earth anyways, but then they're like pruning leaves and branches of the terror tree with roots in Pakistan. Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon, former Kashmir Corps commander, and Lieutenant General Satish Dua, former Kashmir Corps commander. I have two former Kashmir Corps commanders joining me on this special broadcast, and two men who have great experience on ground in Jammu and Kashmir. I've interacted with them while they were co-commanders, and very difficult phase. General Dua, when the terrorist was killed in Anantnag, and General Dhillon, General Tiny Dhillon, when that Pulwama terror attack happened, and when Balakot happened and counter-terror operations were initiated after that in a huge way. General Dua, if I may, even if a Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist here is killed, isn't that like just pruning the branches of the terror tree? There'll be another one, and there'll be many more. What more needs to be done this time for India to send across that message? Enough is enough.
Gaurav, you're right. It's such a sad day. I mean, yesterday, the kind of carnage that we've seen. You are right to say that if you kill a few terrorists, then somebody more will come. His place will be taken by somebody else. However, we can't let the terrorists get away.
Absolutely.
Whenever we have information, we have to act on all the information. And especially now, the hunt is on for all the terrorists, whether they perpetrated the yesterday's carnage or not. So we have to have operations in Pahalgam, around anywhere in Kashmir, South Kashmir, anywhere. So this is the area of Tangmar where this is happening, and it must be brought to fruition. It is closer to Gulmarg, actually.
Yes.
And but the point, the question that you raise, and that's the main point. Should it happen? So this is the only operations. I think we cannot be content by doing operations in Pahalgam or around Pahalgam or only in Kashmir. It has to spill over beyond Pahalgam. It has to spill over perhaps beyond Kashmir. If they can kill tourists, which is a low because it has never been done before. Normally, terrorists do not kill tourists or attack tourists because they actually provide livelihood to all the local people.
Yes.
Okay. Having said that, you know, when we lost 18 brave hearts in Uri when I was the Corps Commander.
Yes.
Now I'm answering, in response to your question. Mr. Parikar, late Mr. Parikar, the defense minister, landed up that very day.
Yes.
Much against my protestations, actually. So he landed up that very day. He wanted to go to Uri. Uri operation was still on. And right there, the army chief was there, Northern Army commander was there. Right there, he gave permission to launch what is now known as surgical strike. That was a bold response. And this time we see that the home minister landed up that very day. The NSA, the defense minister has been there, and we read between the lines of, in fact, we don't have to read between the lines. The defense minister has very clearly said, हम उनको जिन्होंने इसको अंजाम दिया, उनको तो हम उनके ऊपर तो ऑपरेशन होगा, उनको तो we'll bring them to justice. But we will also, जो पर्दे के पीछे जिन्होंने जो इसको प्लानिंग करते हैं, and the pointer is very clear. Who's perpetrating this?
Absolutely.
It is very clear. And so we have to have a bold response.
Bold response is required right now. And General Dhillon, in your appreciation, I have one corps commander who was with me when the surgical strike happened. I have one corps commander with me when the airstrikes in Balakot happened. So I want to understand from you, yet Pakistan continues to bleed India. So what next? What should India's next response be? Kinetic, non-kinetic, or both and more? General Tiny Dhillon, sir.
Gaurav, good evening to you and good evening to you here, viewers, as also to good evening to General Dua. And I agree with General Dua's points. And now specifically answering your question, what response? As General Dua said, killing of this terrorist in Kashmir is an ongoing thing. It's not going to get anywhere. This will continue. The army will continue to do this operation. Security forces will continue to do this operation. What is most important is the main players who carried out this. And the main player is the Pakistan army.
Yes.
This operation was carried out with military precision, which only a military person can make a plan like this. No, like you narrated everything. It's an isolated, tourist place. It is away from the roadhead. There's a poor connectivity. And Vice President of USA is in our country. Our Prime Minister is in Saudi Arabia. Any big action in Kashmir will hog the limelights and bring Kashmir back to the front burner. And now connect this to what Army Chief of Pakistan said a few days ago.
Yes.
He said Kashmir is a jugular vein for them. And exactly that has happened. He said Hindus and Muslims or Islam are two different people and they cannot be, their Islam is superior and words to that effect. And exactly that happened. The terrorists segregated the Hindus from others and killed them in cold blood. Now you see, this Asif Munir had given this indication that this is how they are going to handle Kashmir. That means this planning was already in the pipeline and he was aware of it. Now coming to what response, as you said. Response has to be very, very tough, big, and at the time and place of one's choosing against the Pakistan army.
Against the Pakistan army.
Because it must be there where it hurts, where it pains, and where it bleeds.
Okay.
And it has to be a whole of nation approach. It has to be a whole of nation response. Military option will be part of that whole of nation approach. When I say whole of the nation approach,
yes,
in addition to the military options, there will be diplomatic options, there will be political options, there will be economic options, and there will be options which we can't discuss on the TV and which can be reignited.
I want to understand when people say that India should relook the Indus Water Treaty, General Dua. What does that mean and what would that do to Pakistan? Because they would perhaps run to some international court, they would run to some international body and they would say for a terror attack, we're trying to starve Pakistan's people, population, agriculture. What does relooking the Indus Water Treaty mean in your appreciation?
Gaurav, for that, I beg your pardon, for that, we have to have two things. One is a resolve or an intent to do that, to use the Indus Water Treaty as an upper riparian state, to use that as leverage. And second, we have to create capacities.
Yes.
It takes a long time to be able to create capacities that we can use water as leverage. Because dams on such rivers take a long gestation period. Absolutely. And we have to create that ability to be able to do that.
And we anyway have run-of-the-river dams. Yeah, go on, sir.
Yeah, but let me tell you, there is a better option.
Yes.
Because in the same Indus Water Treaty, in all the rivers, the upper three rivers, including Indus, we are entitled, India is to get 20%, is 19.58%, approximately 20% of the water share is ours.
Yes.
But do you know that we are unable to actually utilize our 20% itself? If we start utilizing what is within the treaty also, we utilize our 20%, Pakistan's Punjab, the farmer will be up in arms because their crop will then suffocate.
Yes.
Now we need to use that very smartly. And yes, you got a point. If we have to create those capacities so that we should be able to say that we hold this leverage. If Pakistan can go to such low and the kind of terror, the killing of civilians, soldiers, mutilating bodies, I mean, what not they've done. So I think you're right. We can create capacities in the long run, but in the short term, we need to at least utilize our own water, which itself will have a telling effect on the Pakistan-Punjab farmers.
Okay, so that's point one. Point two, yes, General Dillon wants to come in because I want to discuss kinetic options and I want to discuss non-kinetic options because Pakistan's military jihad infrastructure must pay, and perhaps in Pakistan's Punjab province, General Dillon.
Yeah, Gaurav, exactly the point which you made about Indus Water Treaty and General Dua explained the whole thing. For the benefit of your viewers, I want to explain the geographical aspects of it.
Sir.
The grain of the country in our part of the world is from northeast to southwest.
Yes.
That means the water which starts in Ladakh goes into the Arabian Sea somewhere in the province of Sindh in Pakistan.
Yes.
That means if the upper three rivers, as the Jandua is referring to, if we block the water or if we even cut down the water will flow northwest of Pakistani Punjab. And with the grain being northeast to southwest, there no way they can bring the water of these rivers into the province of Punjab without constructing additional rivers like BRBL and that Bediya Canal.
Yes.
So that is why upper three rivers, if we stop the water, the Punjabi Pakistani Musalman will starve of water and the crops.
Yes.
It is very important in the long term we build capacities to harness that water which is ours and bring it to our part of Punjab, Haryana, Himachal, and down to Delhi and Western UP and Rajasthan. Therefore, this is the thing which will hurt Pakistan for generations.
Yes.
The Pakistani Punjab will become a desert. If we can do this in the long run, and this is a very viable option, remaining within the international norms.
Okay.
Also,
Also,
I thought I will give this additional point of the grain of the country for the benefit of the viewers.
oh, absolutely. Because, you know, water for Pakistan cannot be more important than blood of Indians. And I want to bring in General Raj Shukla, former army commander, somebody who's war-gamed, you know, dealing with Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror for decades. And General, your appreciation, what would options be before the Cabinet Committee on Security today in terms of India's options to send across a message to Pakistan? Terror is no longer acceptable to India.
So, Gaurav, thank you. I have no idea of what the Cabinet Committee on Security is discussing. I simply don't know. But I have a view on the matter. And just let me say what I think could be done or should be done. You see, this is a straight message from General Asif Munir, the ISI and the Pak Army, which is challenging the restoration of normalcy in J&K, restoration of democracy. In fact, it's a challenge to Indian democracy. They have done this in the past and we responded. Surgical strikes were done when General Dua was the commander. If I remember right, when Tiny Dillon was the GOC-15 Corps, we responded by way of Balakot. And those worked for a while. They worked for a pretty long time. So the point I'm making is that credible military responses work. Now the time is very clear to re-establish military deterrence.
Okay.
And while we must do everything, I mean, I've heard diplomatic options, Indus Water Treaty. I'm no expert on the Indus Water Treaty. But at the moment, the thing that is foremost in my mind is a sophisticated, calibrated military response.
Okay.
Now, what the precise metrics of that response could be, it could be limited, it could stretch across domains, but the message has to go straight to General Asim Munir, his ISI apparatus, the perpetrators behind this, that listen, next time the thought crosses your mind, you think 6 times.
Okay.
Is it possible to convert this into a military possibility? Very much. Are there risks involved? Certainly. We can de-risk those responses to the extent possible, but I think we have no option. We have to go for it. And just one short point I wish to make.
Go on, sir.
You know, look at the, shall I use this word? I don't know, the stupidity of Pakistani statecraft.
Yes.
If they thought that they will turn the spotlight on Kashmir, they have ended up turning the spotlight on themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
The entirely international community is saying that look at this pariah state on terror, and therefore can we follow it up to another level?
That's the pariah state. But unfortunately, they've done it each time. I've unfortunately run out of time on this part of the show, but this is a story we'll be tracking very, very closely. Gentlemen, for joining me here on India Today, many thanks. So that CCS is on, 7:30 is the briefing, and we'll get you the latest here on India Today. Quick break, back with lots more. Stay with us.
Motorola Edge 60 Fusion. Edge out the ordinary.
While covering news, there is no room for fluff. No distractions. No dodging the truth. No blanks, no misfires. Just sharp, fearless journalism. Every story, every debate, every question, straight to the point.
Motorola Edge 60 Fusion. Edge out the ordinary.
Hi, here are the top headlines presented by Motorola. CM Omar calls for cabinet meeting to discuss Pahalgam attack. Supreme Court refuses to stay BPSC mains exam. Earthquake of magnitude 6.2 hits Turkey.
The multiple massacre and terror attack that have happened in Pahalgam.
The death toll rising to 28. This is the Srinagar airport. We are reporting chaos and commotion there, primarily because there are hordes of tourists who are heading back to their respective states. It's understandable. It's understandable that the concern, the fear many of them may feel. Tourists are rushing now from the Kashmir Valley after the terror attack. There's a massive rush being reported on the Srinagar airport. Flights that are being immediately booked for return. Remember when the details came in of the deceased? A young widow from Uttar Pradesh, one from Maharashtra. A 47-year-old Manjunath was shot dead in front of his wife. They were from Karnataka. Haryana. This is about Indian identity, Hindu identity, and all across states that this chaos has happened. That image on your screen, look at that.
You okay? You need a water, sir?
While remember that it is, of course, a tourist destination, but it's understandable that people feel the concern and the fear. What exactly happened? How and why did the terrorists target innocent civilians, tourists, innocent Hindu civilians in Pahalgam? The terror attack has left behind grieving families and from different states. Irrespective of the state they belong to, their identities were checked, confirmed when they realized that the men, especially the Hindu men, could not recite the kalma. They realized they are not from the Muslim community, and then they were shot dead. The women were left to go and tell the world, mocking them, taunting them, that they have been spared to go tell the story. It's a clear reminder to me that since the 1990s, when the Kashmiri Pandits were killed in a similar manner, that strategy hasn't changed. I say a lot has changed in the Kashmir Valley in the past few years. A lot of peace, normalcy, and perhaps it looked like that the paradise was returning. But Pakistan ensuring that everyone in Kashmir, in and rest of India will also be targeted. Chaos and commotion at the Srinagar airport. People are leaving after the dust of the terror attack, and I keep saying that's a massacre because it was deliberate, targeted after identifying them. Remember the victims included from Uttar Pradesh, Odisha, Haryana, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. What does this mean?
Have been on the cabinet
this wasn't
on
about the
security
state differences we often fight about.
What's taking place right now?
But
You
about
can see
Indian
Prime
identity,
Minister chairing
about
this
Hindu
meeting.
identity.
All eyes on this particular meet, viewers. India is plunged in grief.
So look at that. You can
and
see long
now
queues.
There is a sense
because of
that
course,
retribution,
I've been to Srinagar and I keep traveling
revenge,
there.
all of that. But what would be India's response right
it's
now
a reflection
being discussed?
That perhaps there's a reason that you see so much chaos. People understand, especially if you have women and children with you, you do not want to risk it on a holiday like this. People are leaving right away. What does this mean? This impacts Kashmiri's economy, Kashmiri's livelihood, and a reminder that Pakistan clearly doesn't mean well, even for the local
after meeting the injured, and now this high security meeting taking place. The Cabinet Committee on Security meet on Suez. The Home Minister, Defence Minister,
as you
NSA,
tune into India
everybody
today
at the
right
Prime
now, a
Minister's
reminder
residence.
for you.
There's
These are
Nirmala
not
Sitharaman
statistics.
at the Prime
28
Minister's
people
residence.
dead.
Minister of
Means
External
possible 28
Affairs,
families
S.
destroyed
Shankar,
forever.
everybody
Victims from Uttar
attending.
Pradesh,
It's
Odisha,
a key
Haryana,
security
Maharashtra,
meet.
Gujarat,
Important
Tamil Nadu,
decisions
Karnataka.
would be
The
made
list is
on what would
consistently being
India's
updated.
response be to
Young
what we have seen on
women
Suez
who
yesterday
said to the
in
terrorists,
Srinagar,
why are they sparing them, kill them too?
bloodbath there,
And then they were mocked and taunted, saying,
now
we have
have
spared you
been
to
killed,
go, send the message
helpless,
across.
innocent
In one of the
tourists.
videos, one of
The
these
Prime
young women and
Minister
survivors
clearly, what
revealing
you
how the
can
terrorists
see, grim,
approached the
understandably,
tourists who are having a gala
the
time, just
kind
enjoying in their
of
own nation, in their own
situation
country,
right now
in
that
Kashmir,
prevails.
asking
The
them
Defence
if they
Minister
were
today
Muslims,
gave
they
out the
don't
first
look
public
Muslims,
statement
and therefore
coming in from
they
the
were
government
targeted.
where he says
Mostly
that India will
men
give a
and men from the
befitting
Hindu community.
response.
I want you to remember
Those visuals
this.
that you can see,
These were
the
families
Prime
living
Minister
human
flanked by
beings.
the Home Minister
And
on
now
one
I want to
side,
take you
Defence
through
Minister
one
on
by
one
one.
side. Clearly, it's the Home
Young
Minister
Indian Navy
explaining
officer,
the current
26-year-old
situation
Lieutenant
to the
Vinay
Prime
Narwal,
Minister.
recently
What
married
would
from
come out
Karnal
of
in
this tea
Haryana, was
huddle
married
remains to
about
be
a
seen.
week ago.
The National
He was
Security
on leave,
Advisor, NSA,
enjoying a
Ajit
short
Doval, is
vacation in
also
Kashmir.
present at this
He
particular
joined
meet.
the Naval Forces
But
just
these
about 2
images
years ago. He
coming
was
in
posted
from the
in
Prime
Kochi.
Minister's residence.
His image
I
has
want to
been
cut
going
across right
viral
now
across
immediately. My
social media
colleague
and across
Piyush
India.
Mishra
His death
joins
has
us
sent
right
shockwaves to
outside
the family and defense
Kalyan. Now, Piyush,
establishment,
what more can you add?
leaving behind
Images
a young widow
coming out of
who's
this meeting
explaining
right now,
of how
all
he was
eyes trained
identified
on what
and then
would
killed.
be
Always
the
remember
decisions that are
Vinay
taken. Will there
Narwal, a
be
young
immediate
lieutenant
repercussions
of the
where
Navy,
Pakistan
killed
is
in
concerned,
Kashmir
or
on a
will
holiday.
India strike when the iron is cold? Over
हमारे
to you,
पड़ोस में ही है
Piyush.
नरवाल जी। अभी शादी हुई थी इनकी 4 दिन पहले रिसेप्शन थी
Well, most likely, Preeti, there can be some sort of decision taken by this crucial meeting which is right now underway. And as we are speaking, we've also got the inside pictures of the meeting which is taking place at the residence of PM Narendra Modi. We can see Home Minister Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Foreign Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, along with him is National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Ministry, who is also Foreign Secretary. All the top officials are right now present. Also, a few officials from Prime Minister's office, including P. Amit Shah, is also there in this crucial meeting which is right now going on. Remember that Narendra Modi has cut short his Saudi Arabia visit, and the moment he landed today at the airport, he was briefed by National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, and in that meeting, S. Jaishankar was also present.
पहलगाम
was also there, and as we are
किस पोस्ट पे था ये? लेफ्टिनेंट कर्नल और शादी कब हुई थी?
जस्ट अभी एक हफ्ता पहले।
तो हनीमून पे गया था? हाँ, हनीमून पे गए थे, बच्चे घूमने। तो पत्नी ठीक है इनकी? हाँ, पत्नी ठीक है। ये सुनने में आ रहा है कि जो भी आतंकी हमला हुआ है वो जेट्स के पूर्व
The briefing was supposed to take place at 7 p.m.
Let me now tell you about
meeting is still
this young
underway.
couple. Look at them. Shubham Dwivedi, a newlywed had gone to Kashmir with his wife for a short vacation with the extended family, looking happy, looking towards a bright, hopeful future.
Will be taken a befitting reply.
Killed,
will be given
shot
to Pakistan.
in the head.
And remember that
Shubham
this
was married on 12th February, we are told, just about 2 months ago, very similar to Vinay Narwal and his
So
wife.
after this meeting, we can expect some sort of
turning
decision
into
taken
a nightmare. They
by
were
the
sharing
government
videos
because
of happy
huge
moments
assurance has already
in
been
their
given
own country, in their
by
own nation.
the
They were having a
all-top leaders
vacation.
of the government, including
Now a widow
PM Narendra
left to
Modi,
deal with
Defence
this
Minister
loss.
Rajnath Singh, and also Home Minister Amit Shah.
गोलीबारी में शुभम भैया को गोली लग गई है। उस समय तक उन लोगों को भी पुष्टि नहीं थी कि गोली मतलब कहाँ लगी, क्या लगी, कैसे क्या हुआ। उसके करीबन 15-20 मिनट बाद जब मेरी भाभी से बात हुई तो उन्होंने मुझे बताया कि शुभम को गोली मार दी है और सर के पास गोली मार दी है।
आतंकवादियों ने गोली मारते समय कुछ भाभी से कुछ कहा भी था, कुछ वार्निंग भी दी थी, भाभी ने कुछ भी
उनसे कहा था कि हम आपको इसलिए जिंदा छोड़ रहे हैं ताकि आप जाकर के अपनी सरकार को बता सकें कि हमने आपके साथ क्या किया।
बहू हमारी शुभम की पत्नी साथ में ही थी उसके, और उसने जब गोली मारी गई, अभी फरवरी में शादी हुई, तो आप समझ सकते हैं कि क्या स्थिति रही होगी उसकी। उसने कहा हमें भी आप मार दीजिए, तो आतंकवादियों की तरफ से कहा गया कि हम बम को नहीं मारेंगे, आप सरकार को जाके दिखाओ, बोलो उनको ये कि हमने ऐसा किया।
Pahalgam.
Dilip Desai,
these images
a resident of
you can see
Panvel
the
in
NSA,
Maharashtra,
you can see the Home
was
Minister,
identified
you can see
as
the
a
Defence
Hindu
Minister,
and then killed. 5
engaged
tourists
in
from
conversation,
Maharashtra,
and
men,
all eyes on this
were
particular
identified,
meet. The big 5
confirmed
ministers
that they
of
were
Modi in a
non-Muslims, and
huddle,
then they were
along
killed.
with other security
Some of the
experts
visuals of their
coming
family
in
members in
together
shock
to
when the
decide
Indian
what
army
will be
reached
the
out to them
appropriate
to
course
help
of
them
action.
provide
Till now,
water and shake their
we've got,
safe
other
route.
than of course tweets by the Prime Minister, tweets by the Home Minister, we've got one solid reaction coming in from the Defence Minister, because there is a fair amount of anger across the country that India needs to retaliate and retaliate strongly with grit and determination. And the Defence Minister today in a public statement opened with that, saying that India's response will come, and it will come out strong, and it will happen sooner than later. Are we expecting a formal statement also to come after this particular meeting?
Well, most likely we can expect a formal statement also to be
listening
released
to this woman
by
in
the
red.
government after
She says, "Kill me too. Why
meeting
was I
which is right
spared?"
now
That's the
underway.
shock
And,
of a woman.
Defence Minister has already
We have, of course,
said
blurred out
that we
most
are going
images.
to
There are
hit
children
hard,
crying
and
and in
we are
shock.
not only
Children
going
who've been
to,
left orphaned and
catch the people who are
fatherless,
behind
only
this,
because they chose to
dastardly
go for a
attack, but
vacation in
also
Kashmir,
people
because
who are
Pakistan sponsored
conspiring
terrorists,
behind
and
the
with
curtains.
some local
So
terrorists as well as
strongest
information
possible actions will
coming
be
in,
taken. At
wanted
the
to
same time, we have
identify and
seen
massacre them. For
Minister
what?
Amit Shah has
Because if
also visited
Pakistan is
Jammu and
currently
Kashmir. He was there
drowning in a
Pahalgam.
mess,
He
why would Kashmir
met
be
with
peaceful
bereaved
as well? I
families.
hope the
Before
world
meeting
comes
the
together
families,
this
he
time.
also
We keep
held
saying never
crucial
again. Will we
meetings
actually
with
come
the
together
top
to
government
ensure
officials
that
of Jammu and
Pakistan
Kashmir?
doesn't get away
LG
this time
Varochan
as
was
well? Will
also
there be
there.
outrage
Senior police
across
officials
the
from
world
Jammu and
on this?
Kashmir were present.
These are only
Officials from
4
RAW, IB were also there in
out
that
of 28.
meeting.
Look
He
at
has
Manjunath
held
Rao.
a meeting
I'm
till
telling you
1
about
a.m.
Uttar Pradesh,
in the night today
Maharashtra,
in the
Haryana. Manjunath, a 47-year-old, was from Karnataka. When he was shot dead after he was identified, his wife pleaded to be killed too.
to
That's
the
when
very
she was
spot
mocked and
where
taunted
this
to say, "We're not going to
dastardly
spare you.
attack was carried
Go
out
and tell the
by
government
Pakistan-sponsored militants.
How many more
Uh,
widows
also,
from
Home
1990
Minister
to
has been updated
2025
about the
will
current
India have
situation.
to see?
The operations
Our team of
against
reporters are on the ground.
terrorists have already been
Simar Chawla is in
launched by
Kanpur,
the security
Aseem
forces.
Basi is in Karnal,
Two teams today in
Sumi
the morning
Keval Patel is
itself,
in
they
Raipur in
left
Chhattisgarh.
from
This is
Jammu and
remember
also from
about
Delhi
India
of
and
National
Indian
Investigation
identity.
Agency, and
Please
they are
remember that this
already
is
carrying out
about
investigations.
not the
Home
differences
Minister
of
Amit Shah
states of
is
north and
also,
south.
briefing
Simar
Prime Minister
Chawla is in
about the
Kanpur.
current situation there
Simar,
in Jammu
tell
and
us
Kashmir, and
about
Defence Minister who in the
information
morning
coming in.
also
In fact, I
held
want to go to Aseem
more
Basi
than,
also first. Simar, stay on with me.
2.5 hours meeting
Aseem
with all
in
Thai
Karnal,
services
Haryana, a
chiefs
newlywed couple.
and senior officials of Defence Ministry.
Lost
He is
forever.
also
How is
telling
the wife? What
Prime
are you
Minister
hearing?
about
What is the family saying?
the current situation and also the
Well, I would say
those have been done by the
that
government.
it
So
is
yes,
a
the
very
government
tragic
is going to
incident
hit
which has
back
happened in
hard,
Pahalgam. But
and yes,
here
Karara
I am in
Jawab will be
Karnal. You
given.
can
That's
see
what
this is the
has also been
residence
assured
of
by
Vinay
the
Narwal,
government. We'll
who is a
have to
lieutenant in
watch,
Navy, and
when
he
this
had gone
meeting
to
comes to an end
Srinagar
and what kind of statement the
for a
government is
honeymoon
going to
with
release
his wife,
after this
and he was
crucial
recently
meeting.
married.
Piyush, along
And
with, of course, what would
it is
be the
all like very
appropriate
tragic scenes here
retaliatory
in
measures that India is
Karnal,
going to
which
take
lost
and in what
their only
time,
son.
will those
And
measures
these are the
be
scenes.
taken
And
is going to be
we
top
spoke to the
priority
grandfather
of
of Vinay
the
Narwal a few
Cabinet Committee
some
on
time back,
Security
and he
because
said
it is
that
the top
a revenge must be taken, and a similar kind of revenge must be taken what the attack has been, and Pakistan must be taught a lesson. On 16th of this month, Vinay was wedded, and there were happiness in this house, and
Will
today
your family member who leave there comfortable and willing to speak?
I also want to bring in Jitendra Bahadur, my colleague who covers the Home Ministry very closely. He's also joining us live. Jitendra,
रघुवीर जी आप परिवार के सदस्य हैं
the
ये
meeting has
बताइए
started.
कि
सारी
अभी
नजरें
पीछे
इसी
इस
मीटिंग
परिवार
पर
में
हैं
खुशियां
जितेंद्र
थी
पर
और अब
एक
पूरा
सवाल
माहौल बदल गया विनय की
इंडिया का
हत्या कर दी गई
क्या
टेररिस्टों
करारा
की तरफ
जवाब
से
होगा
तो ये परिवार के लिए कितना
उससे
मुश्किल
बड़ा
समय है
सवाल एक और है जितेंद्र
जिस
कि इतना बड़ा
परिवार में
इंटेलिजेंस फेलियर
जवान
ये भी
बेटे की
डिस्कस हो
हत्या
रहा
कर
है
दी
इस
जाए,
मीटिंग में क्या
आप सोच सकते हैं कि उस परिवार का क्या हाल होगा। इससे दुखद घटना और हो ही नहीं सकती जिसका एक बेटा
जितेंद्र आवाज आ
है
रही है आपको?
और वो भी मार दिया जाए तो
Okay, we're going to try and
उनके
cut across
बुढ़ापे
to
का
my colleague
सहारा
Jitendra in just about
इससे
short
और
while
दुखद
from now.
घटना
But
उनके
viewers,
लिए
I
क्या
will
हो
bring
सकती
in
है।
Piyush Mishra back to this conversation while we connect to
उन्होंने बोला
our
कि अब
reporter
घड़ी
who
आ गई है
covers
कि
the
पाकिस्तान से
Home
बदला लेना
Ministry very,
चाहिए
very
जिस तरह
closely.
से
The
हमारे
CCS
लोगों
is
को
underway. Like
बर्बरता
I
से
said,
मारा
it is
गया
the
है
top
वैसे ही
decision-making
रिवेंज होना
body where
चाहिए।
India's internal security is
मैं
concerned.
तो
You
ये
can see
बयान कई
all
टीवी
the
चैनलों
top
पर दे चुका
ministers
हूँ
of
अपने
the Prime Minister
पहले
engaged
भी।
in a very grim conversation on what would be India's
बाकी मेरे
retaliatory
अंदर
response.
इतना
It's a
गुस्सा
time
भरा
when the
हुआ है
entire country is angry, anguished,
मैं
in
मतलब
grief,
बयान नहीं कर
in
सकता
mourning, but wanting
और मैं चाहता
India
हूँ कि
to
पाकिस्तान
reply.
पर
Retribution is the demand of this
इतना
country of this
जबरदस्त एक्शन
hour.
लिया जाए
And somewhere down
कि
the line,
वो
everyone is
सदियों
looking
तक
at the
इस
Prime Minister to
एक्शन को याद
deliver
रखें।
deliverance on the count of how
16 तारीख को
28
शादी
lives
हुई
were
थी नेवी में
snuffed
थे तो
out.
शुरू से
Meanwhile,
शौक था
while we
कि
cut across
देश सेवा
back to
करने का
Piyush
नेवी
and
में
my
जाने
colleague
की
Jitendra, there's news right now coming
नेवी
in from
में
Kulgam.
मिलिट्री
News
में
just filtering in. An encounter has
मतलब
broken
वो
out
चाहते थे
between
कि किसी न
terrorists
किसी
and the
फोर्स में
security forces in
मैं
Tanmar,
जाऊं।
Kulgam. What we have been able to understand, top
So you can hear
TRF
that
commander has been
this is
trapped
what
in
family
this
feels,
Kulgam
that yes, a tough
encounter.
action
Mind
must
you,
be taken
viewers,
against Pakistan, which
TRF
Pakistan remembers
has
forever,
taken
because 28 innocent people have
for
been
the
killed.
attack in
from the
Pahalgam.
government
Well, it's an offshoot of the
Trust
Lashkar-e
and
Taiba
hope
of
with Prime Minister
Pakistan.
Modi and Home
And
Minister
what
Amit
we've
Shah's
been given to
views on
understand right
as
now,
this
an encounter has
elderly
broken
gentleman
out
says,
between
"Kitna
terrorists and
gussa hai
security
abhi
forces
mere
in
andar. I'm so
Tanmar.
angry and
Tanmar is about
agitated.
2
I
hours
hope
away
a strong
from
benchmark is
Pahalgam,
set.
where
A young
the
man got
bloodbath
married
yesterday
5
took
days
place.
ago, about a week ago, was on honeymoon
What
with his
we've been
wife, this
also given
Lieutenant
to
Vinay
understand, a
Narwal,
top
shot dead after
TRF
he was
commander
identified. I want to go now to Kanpur. Simar, go ahead. Tell us more about Shubham Dwivedi's family, if I'm correct, where you are again a newly married couple, and now the wife that was looking for a bright future, left to deal with
that took place yesterday in Pahalgam, and right now this encounter which is taking place in Tanmar. Is there a correlation between the two?
House of Shubham Dwivedi was among those who was killed in the terror attack in Pahalgam, and we were having a word with the family and
pretty premature to really connect the two, but you're right, it's a TRF commander that is strapped. That's at least what the sources in the security apparatus tell us, and it was expected because obviously the Home Minister has given clear instructions to the security grid to go hard after the terror network, and we've seen an encounter on the LOC in Uri where two infiltrators were shot dead, huge quantity of arms recovered, and now this encounter in Tanamar area of Kulgam, which is another district where whose heights and upper reaches have been used by TRF as a transit, as a
So these are the shocking details
forest
which
area
we
from
have
Kokarnag to
got to know.
Kashtawar
This is the
and then
scene
to Pahalgam.
house,
So
the
that
family,
will
if
be
anyone willing
in
and
the scanner
comfortable
of the
to speak
security
up.
agencies. But first indications that post the carnage in
Yes,
Pahalgam,
we'll try to
these
speak to the
operations
family.
will be
There's the
intensified,
aunt of
and in the
Shivam
coming days
who
we'll
was
see
supposed to be
more and more
at
operations,
Kashmir,
search
but she
bombing
wasn't
efforts,
able to.
area
She,
dominations
hurt her leg.
increasing across Kashmir
अभी
Valley.
जाने
So the
वाली थी वहाँ
first
पे, लेकिन आप
encounter
नहीं जा
post
पाई
that
लास्ट मोमेंट पे
Pahalgam,
आपका जो है पैर
the
भी टूट गया.
Pahalgam terror
क्या
attack,
बातचीत
where
आपकी
again
परिवार वालों से हुई
PRF
है?
is
कैसा
on the
महसूस कर
radar.
रही हैं? हम जान सकते हैं